Don't you think it's fairly fantastical that a super omnipotent being that can't be sensed by any of our physical senses impregnated a virgin woman who later went on to walk on water? You don't find that fictional sounding at all?
More questions? Free ebook in bio.
If there is no supernatural God, then obviously miracles could never happen. But if there is a supernatural God, then miracles are totally reasonable, totally plausible.
But doesn't it still sound like a fable? It does to me.
No. If you allow for the possibility of a supernatural God, then it is not irrational to believe that miracles take place.
Well, then could you give an example of anything that sounds like a fable?
Yes. A fable is once upon a time. It's not claiming to be an eyewitness account. The Gospels are written by people who said, we saw Jesus, we touched Jesus, we spoke with him.
There are lots of works of fiction where you have a main character and he spoke to people too.
Yes? Like which one? Which work are you referring to?
Like Gulliver's Travels.
Okay, Gulliver's
Little
Travels.
man walked around and tied up this big giant guy, you know.
Gulliver's Travels, historical,
It's a work of fiction.
historical fiction, right? Historical novel. Some parts of it are historical, some parts are not.
Okay.
Right? Okay, that is a literary style. That literary style was not around. It was not in existence in the first century. So if you're going to argue that the Gospels are a historical novel, what you're saying is Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John invented a literary style, historical novel, no known predecessors, no known successors for hundreds of years.
Somebody had to invent it.
Yeah, well, when they invented it, other people used it. It just wasn't used in isolation.
Obviously, 4 people did it.
No,
It
it's
wasn't
not
used in
obvious.
isolation.
Obviously, Jesus was a real space-time person.
Okay.
Josephus, the Jewish historian, writes about Jesus. Tacitus, Suetonius, Pliny the Younger write about Jesus. There are hostile references to Jesus in the Mishnah. Obviously, Jesus is not a fable. The guy really lived. His enemies wrote